And yeah, we are recording. It's 12:30 on Saturday, July 15th. This is the public student class for, well, basically everybody. Anybody who wants to come by can come by. If this is your first time here, I am Dusty White, author of well, a whole bunch of stuff, but mostly advanced tarot secrets and the easiest way to learn the tarot ever. I have an academy at easytarotlessons.com where we will teach you all kinds of stuff. We have hundreds, literally hundreds of hours of free instruction, audio, video, written. If you need it, we teach it. And we have a Tarot Academy, $10 a week. Cheap, cheap, cheap. And in that, we have forums and study groups and study buddies and live sessions with me, practice, several hundreds of in-depth information video. easytarotlessons.com. Okay, so done, right? So if that's your first time here, now you know. If it's your 15th time here, or you're one of my students, hey, thanks and appreciate you being here. Don't exactly have an agenda at the moment. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. We just finished up a private student session and kind of shot my load there, and it's like, oh, we're going to talk about this. So if you guys have any questions, please type them in. Otherwise, I'm sure we will come up with something. Oh, I do have a written question from Katerina, who did not seem to make it today. But as this is being recorded, I'll just read what she wrote. Let me give her just a moment here. All right, nobody here has any questions, so let's just jump right into this then, and she'll either show up or she'll catch this on a recording. So Katerina from Germany says, and thank you. If you guys have any questions, you can put them in here or just email them, me at dustywhite.net. I will answer them, or we'll do it live on the air here on Saturdays. Okay, so this is our second question. How do I deal with quite negative readings? And I'll just read everything she wrote, and then we'll go from there. Especially when there are many negative cards, the client expects some suggestions how to change that. That's a good thing. We should definitely talk about that today. I didn't do real readings with clients yet. Yes, good. But in the last couple of days, I did some Celtic crosses for training. Yes, I have 2 readings with a lot of negative cards, and sometimes I was not sure what I would say to the client about the negative outcome that the cards are showing. Let's see, blah, 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 right. I know it depends very much on the situation and the question at hand, yes. But if the question is, how will my problem XYZ develop? For example, here, how are the chances for my business? Or how will my attempts to get rid of depression develop? And they naturally ask me for advice when they get a negative reading. So I would be happy if you could talk a bit about the different options to deal with negative readings. All right, so anybody who's taking notes, Mika, if you would please, because I have no idea what we talked about last session, but if you took notes, please let me know. If not, it's okay, we'll figure it out. But for today, if you want to take notes, we're going to talk about what to say when the cards are all bad. I like that. That's a good title. What to say when the cards are all bad. So in this case, what I'm getting from Katarina's, hopefully I got that right, Katarina, from her question is this basically when you are doing a spread for a client, and again, she's knows that she's still in practice. Thank you very much, Mika. And that's a good thing because we don't want to rush into giving readings before we're ready. We will damage our credibility. We will damage our confidence. We will have all kinds of problems. But let's say, all right, so we're ready to give clients readings. And for example, since we're talking about negative cards, what is it? How are the chances for my business? Well, if someone says, how are the chances for my business? First off, we're going to want to talk to them. We're going to want to, matter of fact, let me open up Photoshop just a bit to, because I do like to doodle. Oh, look, it's already ready to go. Let's just test this. All right, we're good to go. So the client asks a question. Client question. Client asks a question. What they're really doing is they're making a statement. Anytime a client asks you a question, and this client could be you, you could be asking for yourself. Oh, I left out the T, sorry. Statement. You could be asking a question for yourself. You could be entertaining a guest or a friend or someone say, oh my God, you study tarot. Read the tarot. Give me a reading. Tell me anything. But for simplicity, I'm just going to say client. So hopefully it'll be okay with it. So when a client asks you a question, I'd like you to think of it this way. Your client is making a statement. They're saying, here's how I see the world, and I am unsure. Well, that just makes it so much easier. I mean, ask you a question. Describe the color purple. What does purple look like? I don't know. But I'm making a statement. I'm not sure what the color purple looks like. Okay, fine. Let's compare it to red, blue. Those are the components of it. And maybe it's opposite, orange. It may not get us to the exact answer right away, but it allows us to philosophically understand the nature of the question, which is essential if we are going to be able to cognitively give a definitive answer that is satisfactory, like eating a good meal. I feel satisfied. I've had a good meal. I think I've had a few too many good meals. I got to cut back. But that is a side note. That sounds like a personal problem to me. So the client's making a statement, and that's what I want you to really think. I want to just keep badgering you on this. Every time someone asks you a question, and matter of fact, this is good practice. Here's some homework. Matter of fact, Mika, let's write that down. This will be homework. When people ask you questions, and you won't be able to do this every day, every moment of the day, because you'll forget and you'll be under pressure and whatnot, but try to have fun with the concept. They're Buddhistic here. That when people are asking you any kind of a question, they're really making a statement. They're making a statement about the world around them and their view on it, their lack of information, and their desire for information, which is very important, because by posing the question, they are making the statement that their mind is open, receptive, and seeking. Huge philosophical point there that we could spend at least an hour contemplating, but I don't think we want to do that right now. Maybe later. Right. That being said, if we're asking, well, it doesn't matter what we're asking about. Is my boyfriend cheating on me? How do I get my husband to start putting the lid down on the seat, on a toilet, because I'm tired of pulling in, putting it down, or putting up, lifting up. You can't just do it. How's my business going to go? If I ask this girl to marry me, is she going to say yes? People come to us when they consider the future in doubt, or they have questions about it. Notice I didn't say they come to us when they're in doubt, because we have to do our best to completely remove any bias, including our client's bias, to truly understand the question. I know that sounds like a lot of work, sounds like some philosophical mumbo jumbo. But have some fun with this over the next week. Just take everything out of the equation except for the proposition. Try to do it from a true third party or even fourth party observer standpoint, where the personality and bias inherent in the asking of the question is reduced or removed, so you can understand the actual query or question, inquisitive, and not be tied into any expectation. That's really what we're going after, because with Katarina, who's still not here, I don't think she's going to be here today. Maybe that's why she wrote it. But what she's asking here implies that she is going to have to give a positive, happy, sunshiny solution. Sometimes things just don't work. By the very fact that we are born as humans, or anything is born, it must die or have an ending. It's not the rule of opposites, it's just existence versus non-existence. If something exists and it is stuck or trapped in the time-space continuum, then therefore it must, by the laws of physics themselves, have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Well, beginning is easy. Yay! It began a long time ago, or it's just starting. It's the end. Nobody wants the end, except maybe the end of the workday. The week's over. Yay! But nobody wants the party to be over. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants their friends to die. Their dog, cat, bunny. I'm good with that. I mean, I agree. I'm like squishy like that. But when we're talking to our client, we can't have that kind of bias, and we can't, even if we are clear like a running stream in spring, where all the silt has settled or washed away, and now it's just the snowfall, just the clear water, and maybe a couple of minerals that are being sucked up by the water, being the universal solvent and all that stuff. Maybe a fish or two just swimming around happily, a duck. So we may not be perfectly pure like this stream. We may have little ducks and fish and tiny little bits of minerals polluting our thoughts, but it's at such a low level that we consider ourselves clean. We don't have a whole bunch of silt. We have a bunch of emotions and bias clouding up the water of our consciousness. And again, thoughts moving like stream, thoughts constantly going, thought stream. It all plays in together. So we want to do that, but we also have to beware of the trap of buying into any concept where we owe our clients satisfaction or happiness. We're not telling a bedtime story to a child. When you tell a bedtime story to a child, especially these days, it's not like the Brothers Grimm or even some of Mother Goose's stuff, or any number of different fairy tales from obviously many different countries. Back in the day, there was no happy ending. There might be a happy ending sometime, but most time, fairy tales and children's tales were filled with folly and violence or sorrow, because it was a way of teaching our children, don't do this, don't be like that guy. Well, nowadays we have to make everything sugar coated. I'm sorry, stevia. We have to have it like naturally organic, non-sugar, because sugar is bad now. So we can't sugarcoat it, but we have to honey. Oh, we have to honey sweeten everything. We can't do that with our clients, even though we were raised in an era where you have to sugarcoat everything, and now we're saying we have to honey sweet, recycled honey sweeten everything. Psychologically, we receive a lot of pressure from all areas of life, including psychologically, that we have to present information in a way that is pleasing, that is optimistic, that is upbeat. It's a very Zen thing to detach yourself completely from any expectation or desired outcome. That being said, you don't have to follow this particular philosophy in life But if you can tap into the wisdom therein, at least while you're reading, and say to yourself with conviction, you'll be fine, that I don't need to provide this person comfort and happiness. I need to provide them the exact specific information they requested. If they want to know how their business is going to go and the cards come out negative, I have to tell them not only that it's not going to work out well, but how and why it's not going to work out well. And this is the beauty of a, quote, fixed position spread. So, fixed position spread. Simply put, a past, present, future spread. Every card position. In other words, here's an empty slot. It's an imaginary slot. Empty slot. Or you could like when you go to Vegas and they have little squares. Your card is going to go here, and your other card is going to go here, and the dealer's card is going to go here. You could actually have a printed template, or it could be an imaginary spot. That's called a card position. Even in a blob spread, it means a card will show up here. The card that is relevant to the question you're asking in regards to the situation of your client. So a, quote, fixed position spread, like the Celtic cross, past, present, future, any spread, but you guys have heard of that. Whatever card shows up here will represent some event in the past that is relevant to this particular situation. Got it, right? So in any fixed position spread, and so on and so forth, you know. So the point of this, before I get myself too distracted, is that with a fixed position spread, we know more about the situation than just, oh, it's going to work out well or it's going to suck. Past, present, future. What if we can tailor this? We don't just have to go, here's the past, here's the present, here's the future. Any spread you cast, you can and should alter to fit your current needs. If you're not in my course, get Advanced Tarot Secrets. It's a black book, costs you less than $22. It has all this information there. If you are in my course, but we haven't got to this point, trust me, it'll be there. Don't worry about it, and we'll go over it over. If you're in my course, we've already covered this, then you know what we're talking about. Nonetheless, you can and should alter any spread that you cast to fit the current needs of the client and the situation that you're asking about, and base it on the question that you are inquiring about, or that you're using to inquire about the situation. Sorry about that. So, past, present, future spread, because it's really, really simple. How's my business going to go? And you're talking about it, and you want to know, do they have doubts? Are they optimistic? What information are they really searching for? Are they looking for that extra edge? Do they feel like something's going to stop them? They're not just going to ask like, oh, well, I don't know, I'm just curious. Because people in business, if they're coming to you for a reading, they've exhausted the wealth of their knowledge and the resources that they have available to them. Otherwise, they would be, busy doing that. It's kind of different in a relationship. A lot of people come and just, they don't want to think about it. But in business, for example, they do. This is important because using the business reading as an example that you can apply to all your readings, but especially a business reading, it gives you an excuse to talk to your client and really drill down, really find out what's going on. Hey, excellent question. Thank you for asking. Now, what exactly do you mean? How's your business going to turn out? Do you have doubts? Is it going well? Are you just casually speculating? Is there something? Because the more specific you are with your question or the information you provide to me, the more specific I can focus and get you the exact information you need rather than just something general. They go, oh yeah, well, my partner's been embezzling and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm concerned about, is this going to work out? So in the past situation, we don't just go, okay, here's stuff that's happened in the past. Well, a whole bunch of things have happened in the past. Declaration of Independence was signed in the past. What the hell does that have to do with your business? Well, without that global free market capitalistic society forming and the invention of the stock market and the rise of nationalism and then globalism, obviously your import-export business would be operating under the tariffs from the Stone Age. Okay, well, that's really reaching. How about something more direct? What have you been doing wrong? Or what have you been doing right? What has been going right? Don't just ask about what's been going on in the past. You have a golden opportunity here. The card position will tell you about the past. So I want you to write this down in your head. What do you want to know about the past? Comma, what do you want to know about the past, comma, as it relates to this question that you're asking? Holy crap. Just making that kind of specificity, make that specific question, now you are going to get infinitely more valuable information for your client for the same amount of effort. So why do it the hard way? Do it the easy way. Specify your question. Right. So a fixed position spread, we specify our question, 1, 2, 3 across the board. This makes it easier for you to understand exactly what's going on. But more importantly, when your client says, how are things going to go for my business, and cards come up negatively, you can say, well, here's what you've been doing wrong. And here's what's going wrong now. And here's what's going wrong in the future. Now we simply apply you've heard of like the law against jaywalking, the law of success, the law of attraction, the law of cosmic responsibilities, the law of karma, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the law of common sense. We apply common sense to this. We say, well, if these cards are negative, but we can see this happened and then this happened as a result, or this happened and this is happening and therefore it's a result. We can look at the cause and effect. We can look at the themes. We can say, if you want solutions, fire that lazy, no good son in law, because nepotism is generally a bad idea. Or, in this case, or things are going well, get them to go working more. So the question of what do you say if cards are negative? First thing we do, and which we haven't talked about here, but it's in the black book, and it's also in the course, probably around week 19, 20. You want to verify your spread. Verifying your spread is you've done through pre-spread work, blah, 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 talking, shuffling, asking questions, blah, 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 blah. The cards are out. Once the cards are out, that is post-spread work. So pre-spread work, before the cards hit the table, post-spread work, after the cards get to the table. Now, once the cards are out, and you're reading I'm sorry, I looked at something somebody wrote, and I totally lost my train of thought, and I apologize because it squirrels out his brain. Because I don't want to ramble on this forever. But yes, the point is that, oh yeah, you want to verify your spread. So the cards are out. You want to verify that these cards are actually pertinent to your client. Can you imagine reading doing a full reading and then finding out that you've you tried to force advice based on random cards that have nothing to do with your client? You just bullshitted them. Now the FBI is looking at you as like you're some kind of fraudulent huckster because you took money or wasted their time or got some value out of them in exchange for fraudulent service. We don't want to do that. So we don't do that. Let's not do that. Let's verify our spread before we put our reputation on the line, before we give a whole bunch of bad information. So if you verified your spread and it still comes out negative, the question is, how do you solve that? First, one thing Catherine said was she wants to know, should she just start pulling cards? No. You pull cards as a last resort. Just because we have a knife and a gun and a chainsaw and a crossbow and a tank to fight off the zombies doesn't mean we always have to go for the tank. Doesn't mean we always have to pull out all of our ammunition and waste it all. Zombies, right? We're gonna be here for a while. It's like get in the tank and then drive away. Although that'd be good. The tank would not necessarily be the most comfortable place to live, but I think it'd be a good anti-zombie vehicle. The only time you'd be in trouble is when you're filling up the tank with gas. So, nonetheless, point is, you verify the information when it comes out. Now you're able